North Carolina examines large load tariffs as energy costs climb. North Carolina's rapid electricity demand growth is beginning to move from planning discussion to cost allocation debate, particularly as large new loads reshape utility forecasts. Energy demand is rising rapidly in North Carolina, said Department of Environmental Quality Secretary Reed Wilson, following the release of the state's Energy Policy Task Force interim recommendations. The group is examining how to ensure future energy supplies remain affordable, reliable, and clean. The financial stakes are increasing. According to Duke Energy's 2025 forecast, demand across its two Carolina systems could rise between 16% and nearly 60% through 2040. By comparison, total statewide demand increased just 7% from 2005 to 2025. The acceleration is largely tied to population growth and energy-intensive facilities. Bills are rising before peak growth arrives. From 2017 to 2024, average residential electricity bills in North Carolina increased nearly 30%. Almost two-thirds of that increase was attributed to rising fuel costs, driven largely by volatile natural gas prices. Utilities are projecting additional increases through 2040, including proposed residential rate hikes of 16 to 18% over the next 2 years. For finance teams, the core question is no longer whether growth will occur, but who pays for it. Tariff design takes center stage. The task force's interim report focuses heavily on cost containment and allocation mechanisms. Among its recommendations, large load tariffs develop specialized rate structures to ensure new large load customers, including data centers, bear the majority of infrastructure costs associated with their connection. Bring your own capacity models allow large customers to directly procure generation resources, potentially reducing system-wide capital pressure. Load flexibility requirements encourage large users to reduce demand during peak periods, mitigating grid stress and deferring infrastructure expansion. For procurement leaders negotiating power supply agreements, or for companies considering siting decisions, these mechanisms could materially affect long-term operating costs. Forecast uncertainty adds financial risk. The report also calls for exploration of a third-party load forecasting process, citing historically wide variance in utility projections, particularly tied to data center demand. Forecast uncertainty directly influences capital expenditure planning, transmission build-out timelines, rate case assumptions, bond issuance and financing structures. Overestimated demand can drive unnecessary infrastructure spending. Underestimated demand risks reliability shortfalls and emergency procurement. Tax incentives, under review. The task force will also assess the fiscal and strategic value of North Carolina's sales and use tax exemptions for data center electricity and equipment, benefits whose total cost to the state is not fully quantified. For corporate finance teams evaluating long-term location strategies, any adjustment to tax treatment could shift effective cost comparisons across states. Efficiency and grid technology as cost moderators. Recommendations also include evaluating grid-enhancing technologies and expanding residential efficiency incentives, measures intended to moderate system-wide cost growth rather than solely expanding generation. The task force will refine its recommendations over the coming year, with a final report expected in February 2027. For now, North Carolina is confronting a challenge that many high-growth states face: how to absorb rapid load expansion without transferring disproportionate costs to existing ratepayers. The debate is less about whether energy demand will rise and more about how the financial burden is structured. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment and Energy Leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team.